Take a deep breath. You've arrived. Welcome to Gentle Somatic Yoga with lots of other healing tools from traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, and all the other trainings that I do all the time to actually heal myself, as well as help you. So today, we are focusing a little bit on the organ systems, and you can access your organ systems from your periphery. So we will start with opening up the energy channels to the organ systems in the feet by rolling on a ball. Now, I will point out, and it really doesn't matter when you're doing this kind of work. It doesn't have to be accurate like in acupuncture. In acupuncture, they get the exact spot. But in acupressure, the first place we're trying to work is kidney 1. And kidney 1 is, if you go between the second and third metatarsals of your foot and go to the pad, but right below the pad, and start rubbing there or holding pressure there. So you can work the balls one of two ways. You can press, release, press, release, press, release. Well, you can, there's a lot more than two ways. You can hold it, just hold the pressure there. You want to feel something, but as soon as it crosses into pain, you need to back off. And this can be done very easily from a chair. You can sit if your balance is not feeling great today and just press. Now, the other thing you can start doing is you can start sliding your foot on the ball to get some tender spots. You can circle your foot on the ball, and you're getting probably a wider area than just kidney 1 right now. But we're opening up these channels. You can actually try to work your toes a little bit around the ball. So, and what we're doing again is opening up the channels to our organ systems and to our energetic system and everything else. So I'm moving the ball now in a different spot and checking out some other spots, seeing how they're doing. Ooh. And the ball may end up flying out. It happens. Okay. If you have had enough, before you go to the other side, just go ahead and transfer your weight a little bit between the 2 feet and see if you notice any differences. So one foot should feel a little more alive and the other foot maybe not as much sensation. So again, start with kidney 1. The neat thing about a point like kidney 1, it's actually known as what's called a shoestring point, which is one of the really big points for energetically clearing things out. And it draws your energy down. So it's a very grounding point, but also if you tend to have headaches or, you know, imbalances or things going on at the top of your body, what we're doing is pushing it all down into the earth, into the ground, letting the earth take it. So go ahead and explore maybe different ways to move the ball around the foot. You can circle it. You can just hold pressure. When you're holding pressure, if you decide to do it that way, it's usually 30 seconds to a minute at a time if you're just holding it. You can pump it. So when we're pumping, you can even imagine that you are just actually adding a pump to this channel. It's a channel that is both physical and energetic. So that's what's also cool about this. All right, move it around a little bit, explore a couple of other little points. And go ahead and release that and either stand in one place and rock back and forth to feel your feet. Or if you have the space and the inclination, you could actually just walk around just for a second, just to notice your feet. So we'll do a few more standing things. It's nice to have your chair near you if you are not feeling incredibly stable today, but having more of the back of the chair rather than the front. Okay, so I'm going to keep a hand on a chair to demonstrate. Obviously, you don't have to have a chair nearby you or even use it at all. So I want you to draw in a leg. So when we're drawing in this leg, we're contracting this muscle. If you've been sitting a lot, and then I want you to put the leg behind you in a lunge. So not a warrior one, so toes are more faced forward. Don't turn that leg out. And then do that again. Draw that in. So contract that muscle and extend. You can add the other arm if you want to. You can even do something like this. So you can see we're really contracting. And then we're extending. Really contracting these muscles, lengthening the muscle. Last time contracting, lengthening. Leave that leg behind you. And if you could, straighten and bend that front knee. So if you're not using the chair, you could at this point have both arms up, straighten and bend, straighten and bend, straighten and bend. And then if you don't mind, now turn those back toes out just a little bit more in a warrior one position and just feel that one. And have that opposite, so the arm's going up of the leg that's forward. And if you're just doing it in the air, you're just leaning over like this. Otherwise, you're leaning over a chair or to the wall. And then once again, release. When you release, bring that arm down and bend it. Lift it up and release. And lift it over the head and release. And again, if you're not doing the chair, this other arm could just stay down. Drop both arms down. You can keep a hand on there. So now I've got this hand in the small of my back. So really open up the chest here. Feel that chest open. Try to straighten this knee a little bit. And then just slightly go forward. So this should be a big heart opener. And then release back up front. So I want to show you from the side what this looks like. So I'm really trying to keep my spine straight. And you could do this facing the chair if you wanted to. What I do sometimes when I'm doing this, I'm working my way into a pyramid pose. But pyramid pose can be really hard on people. So if I were wanting to go a little deeper, what I would do is then come down a little further. And again, you see how straight my spine is? I'm not doing that. Don't go past where you can keep your spine like this. If you're starting to round like that, you're going to create some problems back here. So just go down, feel the lengthening, particularly along the front leg, and then release it back up again. And then you could even, some of you are probably going toward the ground. This is as far as I go these days on this pose. I go about here, because otherwise I'm going to injure myself. And then I come back up. All right, whichever pose you're doing, if you're not using a chair at all, go ahead and do a real dog. If you're using a chair or the wall, do a chair or a wall dog. This is my favorite dog these days because it really lengthens the spine without putting so much pressure on your head, neck, and shoulders. Breathing, feel that length of that spine. Now, if you're doing a regular dog on the ground, you can go all the way down to your belly and go into a cobra pose. If you're not doing it on the ground, you're doing it against a wall or a chair. Lift up. This is where you feel the back body engage. And you're lengthening the front body. This is getting all these muscles to really lengthen here. This is great for digestion too. You could even do circular hand movements here as you're opening up. And if you're circling the hand movements, you're going right to left, just the way the digestive system works. All right, let's go ahead and shake that out. We're going to repeat that whole pattern to the other side. You don't have to face me as long as you're able to understand my instructions. If you're using a chair, if you're not using a chair, then it's not an issue. So it's the opposite leg now. We're contracting and then bringing it behind. Contracting, feel that shortening of that muscle. Then feel the lengthening of the muscle. Feel that shortening and lengthen. You could add an arm in. So I think it's like this is the way I did it. And now if you want to cross the elbow and touch the knee and really contract and lengthen. Contract and lengthen and contract and lengthen. Leave that foot behind there. We're going to bend and straighten the front knee. Straighten it and bend it. You can add some arm movement in it. Straighten and bend. And if you're doing both hands, straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. If you're using the chair, now we're leaning over the chair. If you're not, you're just leaning off away from the front leg toward the back leg side. Oh, feel that. Open up your side bodies. So these are some of the channels. The channels are so fascinating. They crisscross so many different areas. They start on the outside of the body sometimes, and then they go into the internal organs. And I learned something really interesting this year. Well, just in this course I just finished. Let's go ahead and face. No, we have to do this one first. Hand on the back, right? Hands on the back. Now turn that back foot slightly out into a more warrior one. Open up this chest. Really feel this opening. Open it. And then start to lean forward. You can leave your hand there or not until you get to a point where if you go further, you're going to start to round your spine and feel pain. Stop short of that. Come back up and release it. Try that again. And now if you're using the chair or you're going all the way to the floor, we're working into a pyramid pose. And release. Maybe a little further. Don't go beyond where you feel like you can keep your hips stable, where you can keep your spine straight, where it does not make you dizzy. Okay, now we can either do a real dog or a chair dog or a wall dog. Walk away. So in Chinese medicine, they capitalize, like the kidney meridian is capitalized. Now in regular medicine, it's just the kidney, right? Which indicates it's a whole system. It's not just the kidney. It's a series of channels that all relate to the water element in your body. It's a water element. And let's go forward. And then you're lifting up, either that or you're on the ground and you're doing your cobra or your upward dog, or you're standing here. What am I feeling? Back body engage, front body lengthen, head up. Okay, shake it out and either just march in place or walk around your room. And then we're going to end up doing several seated poses. And you can either do these in a chair, but if you're able to, come down to the ground, because we're not going to go up and down after this. We'll be seated and then other things on the ground. So. All right. So I think the ground would work better only because we can do a little more things with our legs on the ground that we might not be able to do seated. Now, when we do any more acupressure, and in fact, if you need to do this now, go ahead and do it. Spread out a blanket over your mat if you have one, because this works for a lot of things. It works for sliding a little bit better. And also it works better for anything we'll be doing with the balls after this. All right. So if you don't mind, butterfly your legs. They don't have to be super close. Find a comfortable way to butterfly your legs for a minute. So we are going to work another point. And if you don't mind using your thumbs, and if that doesn't work, you can use a ball. I'm just not so sure the ball works so well with this. So we are doing something called kidney 3, known as the supreme stream. It's in the inner leg, in the inner ankle, and Achilles tendon. So find your ankle bone and then go up maybe an inch and go behind slightly where you feel a tender spot. This is a spot that alleviates lower back pain. It's the main point in helping your kidneys as well, the actual organ of the kidneys. So, and a lot of times lower back pain is related to things going on with the kidneys. It can be referred pain. So you could either keep constant pressure, you could circle, you could lift off your thumbs, put them back, lift off, put them back. Whatever way opens up this channel, because that's what we're trying to do. All right, so we're going to work on how well we can forward fold here. So everybody do a first forward fold without pain. So this is about as far as I can go without pain. If I go like this, all of a sudden I'm feeling it. So measure that in your head. How far have you gone down? Just estimate. All right. Now draw your knees toward each other. Put your hands on the outer edges of your knees. And this is where you're going to use some isometrics. So press your knees out as your hands slightly resist, but don't make it like you're shaking. You know, we're not bodybuilding here. We're just creating a little bit of resistance using our own body. So your legs are going to win this battle, the battle between the arms and the legs. And when you've gotten to a point where you think that's it for you, just let your legs flop open. Try it a second time. You don't have to stop in the same places, but take little pauses as you go out. Pause. Feel the resistance. Pause. 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 And let it flop again. What we're doing again is creating new neural connections between the brain and the hips and this area of your body. Let's try this one more time. See if you can smile. Don't make this painful. And then let it flop. Now I'd like for you to try a forward fold again and see if you've released your lower back. Whoa. So I'm twice as close now as I was before. That is the magic of gentle somatic yoga for releasing chronic tension. So if you don't mind, take one leg out to the side. You can still keep the other leg in. If this is not comfortable like that, you could always put something underneath the knee. Once again, fold over and see what's restricting you. Okay, it's about it for me. It's actually under my leg that feels like it's restricting. So take notice, what's restricting? And come back up. Now face the straight leg. So you might have to shift on your hips a little bit. Lift up the arms. You can be all the way or right here. Open up by engaging the back, open up the chest. And then just imagine you're a waterfall falling over. And then draw the arms back. Try that again. This is where you use your breath. Inhale up here. Exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Now pause for a second. We're going to reverse the direction of this. This is also good for the brain. Instead of doing things always the same way, now you're going to reach forward first and then lift up. Reach forward. Lift up. Do this in a nourishing way, not in a painful way. All right, now bend up this knee and imagine that your head, top of your head has glue and this part of your leg has glue on it. So you're either gluing a string between it or you're gluing your head directly to this. And so in other words, as you slide your foot along your blanket away, slide it away, slide it away, you're keeping the same distance. Now, at a certain point, you're not going to be able to keep your head here. It's going to pull too much. At that point, release the head, release the leg, and try that again. We're releasing chronic held tension through slow, smooth movements. The slower you go, the smoother you go, the more it's allowing the brain to feel safe and send signals through the nervous system that we can do this movement. Last time like this. So each time you might be able to get a little deeper, but don't go into pain. All right, face front again. We're doing our post check. How much closer to the ground can you go? I'm much closer than I was before with a lot less tugging under here and no pain here. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move in less painful ways. All right, we're going to do the other side. So take your time setting up for the other side. Do your pre-check first. That's about it for me right now. About 2 feet away from the ground. Face the leg. You might have to shift your weight. Lift up on an inhale. Imagine you're a waterfall. Just fall forward gently on an exhale. Don't go into pain. Come back. Inhale. Exhale. Slow, smooth, soft movements. Inhale. Exhale. Whenever we do kind of moves that involve forward folds, we're working our bladder channel. The bladder channel goes all up the back of the leg, all the way up the back of the body, all the way into the brain. It's the only channel that crosses into the brain. Go ahead and reverse the movement. Go forward and then lift up. Forward and lift and forward and lift. Now go ahead and face forward again. Oh no, wait a minute, one more part. I forgot about this part. Sticky tape, glue, string, something connecting head to the top of the leg and slide that foot away, maintaining the same distance. The minute it starts feeling painful, release, let it go. Do that 2 more times. Theoretically, you should be able to go slightly further each time. Let it go. 3rd time. Maybe your head is staying closer to this knee for longer. And let it go. Now face forward and do your post check. I still have more constriction on this side than the other side. Interestingly, it's down in the calf area. So it is good for you to notice what's holding your body so tightly, what's not releasing, and just see if you can work with it to let it go. All right. So we'll do one more little seated sequence. And this is our twisting series. Now, if you don't like to sit like this, if you don't want one leg back and one leg forward, you can just sit cross-legged. That's okay. If you can do this, what the nice part about doing this one is it not only works the waist for the twisting series, but you can also work this hip as well. So if you're sitting cross-legged, you may have more trouble, but you can try to maneuver the hip, okay? Because we're going to start with maneuvering the hip. So I just want you to see if you can get this hip to move. How is it moving to start off? Try circling it a little bit. And don't forget the power of visualization. Anything you can't physically do, you can visualize and still be retraining the brain, which will send different signals to the muscles. We're working with our sensory motor cortex. And you go up and down a few times, see how that one feels. Now, next time you go up and down, see when you go down, if this knee can go up, the opposite knee of the hip. And then when you put that knee down, the hip goes up. And you can still do that this way. You can go. So you can do it in cross-leg too. It's not as effective, but it still works. All right, we're going to start twisting. You're twisting toward my inhale, exhale sign. So hopefully you're set up that way. So when you twist the first time, keep your eyes open and spot a spot on the back wall. So mine is about there. That's as far as I can go. Now, if you can do the next 3 with your eyes closed, so you're releasing, close the eyes, twist. Where are you feeling this twist? It should be hopefully waist up. Each time you're unwinding, make sure you're releasing. Release all the muscles and then re-engage them as you twist. Release. Wind up. Unwind. Now open your eyes and look behind you this time and see if you've gained range of motion. That's what we're trying to do. Release chronic tension, gain range of motion rather than stretching. We're not really stretching. It's a completely different thing we're doing. All right. If you're, whatever position you're in, let's all have our legs in front of us, arms behind you, and just do something like wiggle the feet, tap the legs, Slide the legs side to side, something that feels good and nourishing and releasing. Checking in, and then go ahead and setting up for the other side. Now, one thing that can make this position more accessible is sitting up on a bolster or some sort of blanket, folded blanket. So on this side, I actually feel the need for at least a minute to lift my hips up. So, experiment with yourself and see what works. But no, it's not. It helps that side, but I don't like it on this side. You have to explore. So go ahead and see if you can move this opposite hip a little bit. Circling, shifting, lifting, working it as many different directions as possible instead of just doing the same thing over and over again. Those habitual patterns are what create a lot of our aches and pains. We have to engage all the muscles, not just the ones where we are used to engaging. All right, we're going to twist first time toward my flower picture with eyes open. After that, 3 or 4 with your eyes closed. You're spotting where you can see, and then you're releasing, softening your body. Next 3, keep eyes closed and just sense. Where am I twisting? What's working? Releasing. Pay attention. Don't let your mind wander. This is so much more effective if you stay present to what you're sensing. Use your senses other than eyes right now. Now, the next time we twist, open your eyes and see if you can see further behind you. And just notice how much range of motion you have gained. Go ahead and put the legs in front of you momentarily. Open up your chest. Maybe tap the legs out. So there is a way to work some of these channels from seated. Once again, I was telling you our bladder channel goes way up the whole back of the leg. So what you could do is you could take the ball, find a tender spot underneath your thigh, and kind of engage the foot in a couple of different ways to get this tender spot activated. That can be done in a chair too, if you've not gotten to the floor. And then move it a couple inches up. We're working another important bladder spot. So again, this is great for the bladder channel, but as you can see, we're working these giant hamstrings that tend to get so tight and create problems with your low back. And then maybe even go up a little further, the third point. Ooh, yeah, that's a tender point. Flexing and pointing a few times. Go ahead and release that and just see how the 2 backs of the legs of the are feeling. Are they feeling different? And then let's do the other leg. The first point would be in the center, kind of close to the knee, not that far, and activating. It's kind of a pumping action that you're doing by moving the foot rather than moving the ball. And then maybe a couple of inches up further. Ooh, yeah, this one's tender. That's like right smack in the middle of the hamstrings. And then maybe a little further. So I'm just giving you a taste of some of these things. So we are working on our organ systems while we're also working on our muscles and fascial tissue and energetics. Okay. Whew. So before we go down on the ground, we are going to do a mudra practice. And then we are going to go onto our backs for the rest of the class. So once again, in the mudra practice, we're now using the nerve endings in the fingers to create a shape that will then affect where your breath goes and where your energy goes. So that's the whole point of the mudra practice. Okay. Well, I opened up the book to one that's called Kaneshta Sharira Mudra, which is tuning into the whole lower body. And literally all you do with your hands is your hands are pointing towards your lower body. So if you can keep them, against your body, but upright, you can. But if you need to lean them on something, lean them on your legs or a block. Now, it's kind of interesting. You do want, if you can, a little space under your armpits. And this is from traditional Chinese medicine, as well as Ayurveda. Having a little space is very good for the heart. So you're not crowding it in there, okay? So hands just facing down. So the Kaneshta means lowest and Sharira means body. So the Kaneshta Sharira Mudra directs your breath and energy into your whole lower body. This should enhance your awareness of your pelvis, your abdomen, and the solar plexus. The position of the hands just below the rib cage facilitates enhanced movement of your diaphragm. So this is really good for breathing. You can see that we're just enhancing this movement of this diaphragm rather than using our shoulders to breathe. The breath is activated at the base of your lungs. This is the area with the greatest surface area for exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide. The movement of the diaphragm and the abdomen creates a massaging effect for all your abdominal organs. And the rhythmic movement of the diaphragm creates a pumping effect that assists in the return of the venous blood to the heart and in the circulation of lymphatic fluid. So your hands could kind of move up and down in synchrony with your breath a little bit. This breath connects you more to the earth, creating a sense of support and grounding. So your guided meditation, if you have not already done so, you might wish to close your eyes and really focus on this deep diaphragmatic breathing. Cultivating grounding through lower body breathing. As you hold the Kaneshta Sharira Mudra, just take a few natural breaths, tuning into any feeling or sensation awakened by the gesture. Notice how your hands are naturally gliding away from each other, so they might be a little outward movement on the inhale, and then maybe back toward each other on the exhale. Allow your hands to move in synchrony with your breathing, activating your diaphragm, the main muscles of respiration and breathing. As you inhale, your hands are providing a firm support for your lowest floating ribs so they can expand horizontally. This creates space for your diaphragm to descend, which optimizes your breath capacity, especially at the base of the lungs. As you exhale, your diaphragm comes up, and that lengthens your exhale, releasing all the residual air, preparing you for the next full diaphragmatic breathing. Sense how this fuller movement of your diaphragm enhances the rhythmic movement of your abdomen, which then massages your organs of digestion and elimination, supporting their optimal functioning. Also sense how the rhythmic movement of your abdomen creates a pumping effect. This allows the fluids from your lower body to be drawn upward more efficiently so they can be recycled back into your circulatory system. As your abdomen is massaged by your breathing, your adrenal glands and kidneys also receive a massage, which supports their optimal functioning. Additionally, the enhanced abdominal breathing will help release tension from your low back, create more space in your lumbar area, cultivating relaxation and ease throughout your entire lower body. As the physical body is nourished by enhanced abdominal breathing, each lengthened exhale is bringing down the current of Apanavayu, which nourishes your pelvic floor and the entire base of your body and instills a sense of support and grounding. Take several breaths, tuning in deeply to this enhanced sense of grounding, allowing you to fully inhabit your lower body, creating a firm, supportive foundation in order to live with a greater sense of trust and security. As your sense of inner security is increased, the rhythmic movement of your hands, belly, and breath then create a natural place for your mind to rest. Rest your mind. Feel the sense of comfort and serenity because you are supported and grounded. Fully attuned to the lower body breathing, you're going to repeat the following or anything that feels right to you, aloud or silently. Attuned to my lower body breathing, I'm fully supported at all moments in my journey. Attuned to my lower body breathing, I am fully supported at all moments of my journey. Attuned to my lower body breathing, I am fully supported at all moments of my life journey. Go ahead, release the gesture. Take your time, returning to a normal breath, gently blinking eyes open. We're going to make our way down to the ground. A blanket is covering your mat to allow your body to slide a little bit easier. Have a ball nearby. If you need support under your head, put something to support your head as well. If you can initially lengthen your legs just briefly, just to sense your entire back body along the ground. This is a great way to really tune in to what's going on with your back body. Now for the movement part, if you need to bend one leg at a time, you can, but we're going to be working initially one side. So I want you to just imagine somebody is pulling on your foot lengthening your leg down. Your toes are pointing back at your body. It's like you're on a stretcher. It's a very subtle movement, but you should feel, and I'm working the right side first, that side lengthen, and then release it back to neutral. Do that 2 more times. So you're being pulled on a stretcher, and then you're softening. Last time, you're being stretched out completely, and then let it go. So we're going to add the upper body from the same side. So your arm is going to slide along the floor above your head at the same time that leg is going the other way. So your whole side body is being lengthened. So I'm doing it on my right side. I have a long right side right now. And then I'm just releasing it to neutral. Do it again. Just lengthen that one side and release it to neutral. Last time, lengthen that side and release to neutral. So release that whole side and do this little sequence to the other side, starting first just with the leg. Draw the leg away from you as if somebody is pulling on you, lengthening you, and then let it go. So your leg's not going in the air. Maybe your foot will go just a little bit up just because you're engaging the muscles of the bottom of your foot. But we're working that whole bladder channel and some of the other channels that go from the foot up the legs. Let it go. Third time, lengthen and let it go. Now we're adding the arm in too. So the arm is sliding along your blanket. If that is too painful, you could always put a pillow behind here so your shoulder doesn't bend back as far. And now you're lengthening the arm and the leg at the same time and then letting it go. That one arm and the one leg are twice as long as the other one. And soften to neutral. Last time. So going back to the first side, this is where you're going to slide. Just slide that foot along the blanket a little bit, not fully bent, just a little bent, and then slide the heel back down. Do that 2 more times. Slide it up. And I lost my blanket. Slide it down. You got to be enough on the blanket so that you don't pull the blanket up with you. Slide it up and slide it down. Now do the other side. Slide the foot up, slide the foot down. Slide that foot up and down. Last time, just one side. All right, now the next time we slide that foot up, I want you to lengthen the opposite arm along either the mat, the blanket, or the pillow. So that's lengthening. So now we're lengthening opposite side and then slide that foot down. You should be really long cross channels. Release that. Let's do it again. Slide the foot up, lengthen the opposite arm, and then slide that foot down. So now you've got a really long cross stretch. Pull that foot up. The arm is bent. Now the arm is lengthening, the leg is lengthening, and release that side. Shake it out. Now we'll do the other one. So draw the leg up. The arm is above your head. The palm is facing the sky. Lengthen that arm crosswise as you lengthen the opposite leg. Draw them back together. Lengthen them away from each other. Last time, shortening everything, lengthening, And let's just check in again. How are we feeling? Bend your knees up, put your feet on the ground, and just rock your hips forward and back to release this. Rock the hips. So when I'm rocking my hips forward, there's a little space under the low back. When I'm rocking my hips back, I've gotten rid of that space. Use your feet to help you. Rock them forward and back. Now you can add upper body by interlacing fingers behind the head. When you rock your legs forward, pin your sides of your arms to the ground and lift the chin. When you rock your hips back towards you, draw elbows together. You can leave the head on the ground, tuck the chin, or some of you might want to lift the chin. Rock the hips forward, pin the arms on the ground, lift the chin to the sky. Flatten everything, draw elbows together, tuck chin in, draw hips in. Last time. Go ahead and release all that. We're going to use our ball, if you can, on your windshield wiper. So we're going to just windshield wiper to one side. And every time we go down, the side of the leg is going to land on our ball. And you can find a spot that's slightly tender, but not too tender. So I found a good spot. You don't want to be on the bone. You want to be on your fleshy part of your leg. We're working the gallbladder channel now. Just go back and forth. And you can move the ball to different spots and explore different places. When I'm windshield wiping, ooh, I found a really tender spot. All right, let's windshield wiper to the other side and find tender spots on that side of the leg. So this is both myofascial release. It's opening up meridians. And it's great for the sinew tissues, the sinew channels, which are part of the Chinese system too. They're the superficial channels. It moves lymph around. So you can find all sorts of interesting different spots as you're windshield wipering. All right, go ahead and release the ball and just have your arms either out in a T, palms up, or you can do goalpost style where your elbows are bent and the arms are behind you with palms up, and just allow the legs to gently windshield wiper side to side. Now, you're welcome to have your head turn the opposite way if that feels nourishing. But if that bothers your neck, you can go ahead and keep it centered in the middle. Now, if you can, cross one leg over the other leg. So I've got my right leg crossed over my left. I'm going to allow my legs, and you could add the ball in again if you wanted to. Now my ball is more under the butt cheek. I'm gonna let my legs just gently go to the right. So whichever leg is on top, that's the direction you allow your legs to go off to, and don't go too deep. The nice thing about this particular position, it works the psoas muscle, which is this very deep, hard to get to muscle under layers and layers of abdomen. Go ahead and release that. Cross the left leg over the right. And I'm shifting a little bit off to the right of my mat. I'm putting the ball under my left butt cheek, and I'm just guiding myself a little bit over, not to pain, just to sensation. You want to feel sensation and no pain. All right, let's check in one more time. If you need to draw knees in before you do your check-in, or happy baby or anything, or roll around your hips, go ahead and do that. And then find how you want to be in your rest pose. You could be laying down. You could be tired of laying down in a seated meditation. You could have your legs up on a chair. Whatever feels right. And I'm going to prepare to do our final reading, and then I will ring the bowl at the end. Hopefully your body feels more alive. While we have enlivened our body, we've also been supporting our organ systems today. Not a bad thing to do. So this is from Tara Brach's Trusting the Gold. And this reading is called Meet Your Edge and Soften. I had been teaching, writing, exercising, trying to do everything I could as well as I could. And then one day, my body crashed. I ended up flat out in a hospital bed with an IV drip stuck in my arm. The first night there, completely alone and helpless, I lay awake, my mind churning. How much worse would this get? Will I ever be able to teach again? What about writing? Will I ever be able to even sit at a computer and work? Is there anything in the future I can count on? My life was out of my hands, and everything felt so fragile, temporary, and out of my control. The words of a Tibetan teacher came to mind. The essence of a spiritual practice is to meet our edge and soften. I was at the edge, facing fear, aloneness, despair. How could I soften in the face of that? Gently, I encouraged myself to go right into the painful edge of fear and soften there. As I allowed the fear, a deep, cutting grief arose, tearing at my heart. It was as if I were falling into a black hole of grief. It was like dying. The life I have known might not longer be possible. Just be there, I told myself, sobbing as grief surged through my body. With my hand on my heart, I kept repeating, just soften, let go. It's okay. The deeper the pain, the more tender my inner voice became. What followed was a full surrendering, and without a profound letting go at the edge, a space opened up inside me that was filled with the tenderness of pure love. Over the next moments, I was surrounded, held, and suffused with timeless, loving presence. Just soften became my mantra for the remainder of my hospital stay. I have since recovered fully, and yet I can still find myself feeling vulnerable and anxious about what's around the corner, fearful about failing in some way. When this arises, I sense that I've met an edge, and I invite myself to soften. With each round of facing the fear about what might come, a deeper trust can arise. Whatever life might bring, I can practice meeting the edge and softening. So today, Is there an edge of fear you're standing at right now? Can you open to the fear, the sorrow, or the grief? Can you allow yourself to meet it and soften? And as you do, notice the shift. It will shift in you. It's a practice. You're going to have to do this a lot, especially if you have faced a big physical challenge in the last year or so. So I'm going to come up and ring the bowl and say goodbye to you all. I am available to stay for a minute or two. Anyone wants to talk? But I have to change the sound in order for you to hear the bowl. So this does signal the end of our time together today. Just gather anything that was particularly helpful to you in your healing journey. Let's acknowledge each other. Let's honor this practice, honor each other. And when we get to practice together, know that we are helping each other heal. Namaste.